Hey, VOZ, welcome to week 4. You all only have one more week after this week until spring break, so that's pretty exciting. Yay, you guys. So let's go ahead and start looking at the week. You should be watching this video on Monday. And then you will do a figurative language practice today. Tomorrow you're going to do a poetry practice. On Wednesday, you'll have your second video and you'll read a poem with me on that video, and then you'll start answering some questions and identifying some figurative language there, and then you'll submit your notebook on Thursday because you do not have school this Friday. All right. So open your notebook. If you haven't already, go ahead and pause now and find and open your notebook. All right, now you have your notebook open. Let's go ahead and just look at it real quickly together. This is the practice that we'll be doing together in class in this video right now. You will most likely need to finish it on your own, but I will go over kind of how to do that momentarily. This is a poem you will write, and at the end of this video I will go over sort of how to do that, some possible ways to do that. You'll do that tomorrow. Then on Wednesday we will go over the different types of figurative language in this poem. And then you will answer some questions about the poem on Thursday, and then submit your notebook as you have no school on Friday. Okay, so that's what we will be doing this week. Make sure your notebook is open, and it is on this page where it says figurative language practice, C.S. Lewis line. Next week you will have an assessment. Before spring break you will have an assessment on poetry, identifying figurative language, and close reading poetry, which are what those questions are. So it will look very similar to what you've already been doing, but you will actually be assessed on it, on being able to identify the types of figurative language, and being able to answer questions about a poem and interpret a poem. Okay, so that's what's coming up next week, and then spring break, and then we will transition into story writing, a little bit away from poetry, but also still practice writing poetry, because at the end of the quarter you'll end up having a project where you're going to write some poems and a short story. So let's get into this line from C.S. Lewis. This line is actually from C.S. Lewis's book, Surprised by Joy, which is a partial autobiography. It's a little bit like a memoir, which we'll talk about later in the quarter what a memoir is. But C.S. Lewis is most famous for having written the Chronicles of Narnia, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I'm not sure if you're familiar with his work at all. But he wrote quite a bit of other books as well, and has an extensive collection of stories and essays and other things. This particular line is from the book Surprised by Joy, which I said, and that's an autobiography, meaning he was writing about his own life up until that point in time when he wrote it. Leaving out partial details, which is why it's a partial autobiography. So this is not actually from a poem, but it is one line of extended metaphor, which we talked about metaphors previously. Metaphors being comparisons of two unlike things. So he is saying, he is the person being compared, I am a product of, and then we have this comparison, this metaphor of all these things that he says that he's a product of. Product means like what created you, what sort of made you who you are, that sort of thing. Okay, so he wrote, I'm a product of long corridors, empty sunlit rooms, upstairs indoor silences, attics explored in solitude, distant noises of gurgling cisterns and pipes, and the noise of wind under the tiles, also of endless books. Okay. The type of figurative language that's present, as I said, is an extended metaphor. Metaphors tend to be a little bit longer than similes. Similes are sort of one-liners. Metaphors tend to have a little bit more of an extension where you talk about it or use that metaphor for a little bit. So he is saying that he is a product of these things, right? That is metaphor. He's not literally a product of those things. A couple of these words might be a little bit difficult for you, or might be words you've never heard before, so I'll just give you a little insight into them. Corridors is like another name for hallway. attics. I'm pretty sure you probably know what that is, but like the upstairs of a house, and just being empty and kind of being like similar to a basement, but upstairs. Just kind of storage. Solitude means being alone. Gurgling is like a sound of bubbles, kind of like, or water moving slowly. Cisterns would be different types of plumbing, basically. So pipes, cisterns, and pipes are plumbing that would have been present at that time in history in outside of London, which is where he lived. And the noise of wind under the tiles and endless books. You got all that. All right. Just wanted to interpret some of those words for you really quickly. Okay. So this line of from C.S. Lewis, it is one sentence with a simple sentence added to it. One idea here, and it's extended metaphor. Okay. So what you're going to do now, and that's what you're going to answer here. Then what you're going to do is to fill in the missing blanks here. You'll delete and fill in with your own words, mimicking, kind of like we've done before with mentor sentences where you then mimicked them. This one you will also be mimicking. But in this case, you are mimicking the same structure. So you are also going to write an extended metaphor about what you are a product of. So you, as you see in your notebook, you're keeping the I am a product of, and then you're changing all the rest of the words. What you need to know, though, is that it needs to be the same type of word. So just like when we did mentor sentences, you need to know what type of word it is before you repeat it. Most of these are either adjectives or nouns. So I'll just go through them really quickly so you have an idea. And so you can refer back to this when you're struggling to figure out what type of word it is. Okay, so I'm a product of. Long would be an adjective. Quarters is a noun because that's like a hallway. So you will replace those two lines with a different adjective and a different noun. Empty, adjective. Sunlit, adjective. Rooms, noun. Okay, so two adjectives to describe one room, rooms, or your noun, whatever that is. Upstairs is a preposition. Indoor is an adjective. Silence is noun. Attics, noun. Explored, verb. In solitude, noun. Distant, adjective. Noises, noun. Gurgling, verb. Cisterns and pipes are both nouns. Noise is a noun. Wind, noun. Under is a preposition. The and tiles is a noun. And endless, adjective. Books, noun. So mostly adjectives and nouns. Okay. So what you will do now is in the spots here where I said like long is an adjective and quarters is a noun, you're going to write things that you feel like represent who you are and what you're a product of. So you are a product of pie, maybe. You really, really like pie. You eat a lot of pie at home. You can say, I'm a product of spoonfuls. No, we don't have. You could do that down here. Spoonfuls of pie, where there's an of down here. But you could say delicious pie. Okay. Comma. Then empty. So we got an adjective, sunlit, adjective, and rooms. So then you could say you're also a product of, I don't know, playing hopscotch. I'm just making something up. So you could say endless, annoying hopscotch, whatever you want to put there. Okay? But try to make it about you as much as possible. Feel free to go back to the personality test that you took. If that sort of helps give you an idea or helps inspire you a little bit to think of things to write about for yourself. Okay? So that's what you're going to do today after you turn off this video. But before we do that, I want to look at the poem you will also be writing tomorrow and give you a little bit of insight about how to do that. So the poem here is based off the Personal Bill of Rights, and you're going to click on it and read through them. These are things that as people we have the right to. You're not doing the second page here. This is just It's just there, right? It's just because it's the document I have. But just read through the front here. I have the right to ask for what I want. Read through them here. I have the right to be happy. And then you're going to choose one that you feel like resonates with you, or it feels like it makes a lot of sense to you, or you really like it. And you can just copy and paste if you want. Like if you're going to do I have the right to be happy, you can copy that. And then that's going to be the first line of your poem. And then I want you to, this is sort of your first time practicing writing your own poem. So don't try to think too much about it. Just write kind of whatever pops into your head. Remember, you're not trying to be literal. You're trying to be figurative and metaphorical, or use your other types of figurative language, right? So don't think too much about it. Write down things that pop into your head. You have the right to be happy. What's the first thing that pops in your head after that? Write it down. I have the right to be happy. Sunshine in my soul. Rain only for dancing. I have the right to be happy. Period. And then I'm going to hit enter twice because I'm going to start a new stanza. And stanzas are the different sections of poems. Remember, poetry is written in lines, not sentences. So you just write a line, you go down, write a line, go down, write a line. If you feel like your little stanza is done, like you feel like you said enough there, and you're going to like change topics a little bit, say, then you're going to hit an extra space and start another one. Okay? Just writing some random things here to give you kind of an idea here. So in this case, I just started thinking about like how people think sunshine is kind of a representation of being happy, and dancing in the rain is happy, that sort of thing. I could go a million different ways with this. I could write this poem a million different ways. I was just kind of just trying to demonstrate a little bit to you. Okay, so that's what you're going to do, but you're going to write 10 lines minimum. Don't worry too much about it if it sounds silly, if it sounds weird. I would rather you write some really weird, silly nonsense than you to like overthink it and obsessively try to figure out the right thing to put down. Just put down ideas, okay? Just put down ideas. Not a big deal. We can talk about it later. All right, so now your task for the rest of today, Monday, is to do your line of figurative language, and then tomorrow you will do the personal bill of rights, and you will have a video on Wednesday. Get to work.